blue. With the Zoe taken out. Nocturne banned away by Afreeca.
Yep, has been their ban every single game. In fact, the red side ban every single game so far this series.
Peanut 2-0 with it. Spirit not in the lineup. Mowgli is the jungler, so the Nocturne priority a little bit lower, so that makes sense.
Yep. Kingzone final ban here. Swain is the one that's on the cards based on what they did game one, and
now
that's
if you're
Afreeca,
you definitely ban Master Yi or Taric, otherwise we might just see the rollback of Lulu. First pick into Master Yi Taric.
Well, I mean, if it's the Ezreal's still available here as well, but the Lulu being banned is another option that they could go towards.
Lulu taken away does decrease the reliability of the funnel strategies, and Mundo's going to be banned. So, Ezreal up. The Lulu is the expected first pick. It'll go in here, and now Afreeca's like, this could be bad.
It feels like Yi Taric are coming. It feels like they're in the cards.
But the best part is, Kingzone don't have to do anything further than to pick probably the strongest available champion with Aurelia priority way down. And now as Afreeca, you're already scrambling. So that you're already in the heads of your enemy. Graves has been the common jungle answer just because you can farm so fast that you can punish the predictable pathing of the Mata, the Master Yi Taric combo. And Afreeca do have to draft stuff that doesn't just run into the Master Yi Taric and straight up lose. So you're kind of a bit more constricted in your first round than you usually would be on red side.
And, you know, Braum is certainly available here as well. They can go towards one of those situations. We've seen that being used to deny funnel strategies before. Yeah, Gen G have been the ones to do it. Mordekaiser being considered here as well.
Very early, but no surprise that Afreeca will stay away from the marksman. That's what they tried in game number 1.
Kramer
all right,
finally
Kingzone.
picking the same champion that Aiming has played.
We need to know. Reveal yourself. Will it be Master Yi Taric on the side of Kingzone?
This is an OGN broadcast, please, Papa Smithy.
And yet, I'm still needing Kingzone to reveal themselves.
Oh, it's going to be a fantastic run if they do. Okay, well, they're going to reveal at least a Nidalee hover for the moment, so they're not going to go with the funnel strategy onto the Master Yi. What does BDD take?
So they counterpick
Talia's
jungle.
there.
Nidalee against Graves is something Peanut's already run once this season, all about getting the face of the Graves. And it's going to take a first round Ezreal. So Lulu for power, the mindset was attacked, and that got them the favorable matchup. Usually you can't do that with a first pick. The first pick, Lulu with Master Yi Taric open, has warped the first round of this draft.
Now what does Afreeca do to augment this composition? I feel like Alistair is staring at me, but Shen's still available and has a lot of priority.
I think Shen makes a lot of sense, but not against the 3 champions you see. Shen priority is largely because of so many bruises in the bot side. Shen wins most of those duo support plays. That could be a top lane Shen, but then the matchups are different, and Keen usually is on something like an Aatrox, which curiously hasn't been banned so far. But
Ooh. Interestingly enough, this Mordekaiser could be flexing over to Kuro as well. We have seen that mid lane support Mordekaiser idea.
Can be. That was an option they left open for themselves, not in Korea, but definitely around the world. Sky, former mid laner of SKT, was playing it in Brazil in the mid lane, so you're right, things can be open. And as we mentioned, Aatrox swiftly denied from the Afreeca Freecs. So where the Shen goes, given that it could just be double range bot lane, could also be another matchup. It definitely won't be one that favors him in the 2v2. Wait to see where the Shen goes. The combo of the Nocturne was also removed in picks and bans.
I like the Tarm ban to come in here, and Kingzone's composition is looking very, very Gen G-esque. I mean, the Nidalee may be a little bit different, but I mean, Haru could certainly play it. And picking the Shen because there might be an Ornn on the top side of the map again could be a thing.
Just trying to judge what's open. There's a lot of specific bans here. The Camille's open, but would have to be a top laner because we have Nidalee and Graves already locked in. So Camille doesn't need to be banned in the second round. Going to take away one Tucson special, the Rakan. A match winner on that pick, and, well,
wow.
Afreeca are taking the Kingzone traditional playbook and saying, I'm blind and Jace, what's going on?
And Camille has been available this entire draft, we have to remember.
I have mentioned it already, but because the junglers are gone. You could take it top lane, but not a fantastic lane against Jace. What is the backup? Is it another Ornn game? Because then that would give them initiation, which they don't have. It certainly wasn't a problem. I thought Khan's Ornn was good in game number 2.
Me too.
Talia going to be jumping on the BDD. In case you guys are joining us for the first time now, Talia and Karthus may not take Smite, but are selectable. That is the ruling from Riot Games.
Yep, you can play it, and that's exactly what BDD is going to do, and they're running it back. Looks like the Ornn is going to be picked up here potentially. Still 10 seconds to make up his mind. But this is what he picked into the Jace in the last game, and he ended up 2-0-2, and the only successful player on Kingzone. But the switch over is going to come in. This is much more Khan. Look at that big grin on his face as it gets locked in, as well as Keen. He's looking worried.
Keen doesn't speak a lot of English, but I did lip reading. He said, wow. So he is ready to go. Speaking of wow, how about another global? Our first Twisted Fate of the season, Kuro's special old pick. Speaking of Kuro picks,
yeah, I was going to say.
Fantastic LeBlanc as well. We won't see the TF, but we'll take the LeBlanc.
And that was one of the signature picks into the Taliyah as well, pretty much the entire time that she's been in the mid lane. But is she even going to be in the mid lane? Who knows? We saw Gorilla and BDD switching it up, but yeah, of course, it's not going to be Gorilla playing it. When you have BDD on your roster, you probably let him play Taliyah at any time of the day.
So much going on in this draft. Double ranged hurt them in the last game, Kingzone. They were ganked a couple of times. Let's see if the Lulu performance can be cleaner. BDD on the mid lane. Taliyah might even be taking the Ignite. Who knows? But the top lane
They are going to do it.
Really?
They're doing it. The Taliyah support is coming in.
They're flexing away from the matchup. They're putting Lulu against LeBlanc, and Lulu does better in that lane than Taliyah does. The top side is interesting as well, as the Kled
Lulu
coming
was
in.
always a denial pick to the LeBlanc back in the day, and now she's back in the day LeBlanc again.
That was what Faker was doing in, I believe, spring final last year, was Karma and Lulu against LeBlanc, so a last-second change. How will Gorilla look on a different range support? Taliyah doesn't necessarily be a champion that he has a lot of experience on. The top lane matchup that made Keen, our representative top laner, say wow at going for the counter matchup, or attempted a counter matchup. Certainly I'd call it a skill matchup here. The Kled.
The 957 special from over in China.
Our first Kled in forever.
Really wasn't even a LCK pick when it was popular elsewhere. They just decided
played a bit of it, but otherwise no.
It was more toyed with rather than actually one of these picks that found anything. It's going to be Khan picking it up, and of course if anyone's going to play it, it's going to be Khan on the top side of the map. He does enjoy having a great time on the Rift. As ladies and gentlemen, looks like the players are ready to get onto the Rift for game number 3. Let's see who's going to take it. Kingzone fans very loud, wanting their team to turn it around here in game number 3. Momentum now back in the hands of the Afreeca Freecs. Feels like some normalcy hit the Rift in game 2 after Kingzone did find that fantastic first blood to win game 1.
And then we got Kled versus Jace, and Taliyah flexed the bot lane and a Lulu mid. So things have definitely gotten spicy, as that Fiddlesticks didn't work out so well in game number 2. Surprise.
But it worked out well. It's the drawing. I thought you were going to pay out the drawing. I liked it. Liked it a lot. Afreeca fans
as well. Sir Kled is the skin choice here by Khan. I'm a big fan because it reminds me of Super Ghouls and Goblins from the 16-bit era. Doesn't want to lose his chain of armor, though.
Certainly not.
They invade from both sides, some mirrored invades, but more information to the side of Afreeca. I would say at least about timers.
Yep. That ward paying dividends as Afreeca Freecs on the bottom side of the map get a free shove right into the turret, as Gorilla will be able to land some of the poke here. Prey will get all of the experience at least. Those minions haven't been ruined as far as getting them underneath the turret.
Definitely a harassment-strong matchup against Kuro, Lulu against the newly old LeBlanc. The polymorph gets a lot of value in this matchup.
I love that sentence.
It's really hard to explain which LeBlanc it is. She's changed forward and backwards so many times.
It's pre-rework, post-rework, rework LeBlanc.
Thank you. Very succinct. I like it.
It's like what we were talking about with SKT, SKT T1, T2.
I thought we had a promise not to talk about SKT. At least today.
We already spoke about it today.
Whoops. Last time we did see the Kled was, like I mentioned, Cuvée.
Yep.
One of the few people to play it in 2016.
I love Kled as well. I mean, he's got an ability called Bear Trap on a Rope. Amazing.
Very Fun champion. Mowgli doing what he did in the previous game. Remember, that was Jace with vertical jungling topside by the Skarner. Now it is the Jace with the vertical jungling on the top side by the Graves. Now it's when he transitions that power bot side that big things happen. Speaking of big things, a bit of trading in mid.
Yeah, and the Glitterlance not landing there as well by BDD, meaning that Kuro was able to win out that trade. Ignite's on both sides of this matchup, as well as you can see Kuro getting that electrocute proc was what was able to give him the advantage.
And the tumultuous matchups in top and mid will be most interacted by some damaged junglers. Graves and Nidalee are the ones to watch this game. Mowgli starred in game number 2. May have been deserving of MVP, and here he is.
Chain's going to land, and that's going to get the flash, but it's not actually going to be enough here as good shield comes out. The flash from Peanut grabs the first blood, as end of the line actually does come back from Mowgli, but there's minions in the way, and it's the worst for a Graves when that happens. Glitterlance doesn't find the Graves, but that is going to mean Kingzone with the advantage again.
So important that Nidalee was jungling around the Raptors to make that happen. Looked like it would be a success because Kuro could follow Flash, and the tether range is very generous on the side of the LeBlanc, but that meant she was out of a flash when the counter gank happened. Nicely done by Kingzone. With swinging matchups like this, the power of Nidalee and Graves to do that damage and pick up kills was always going to be pivotal. First blood, the side of Kingzone.
And now, once again, we've got a bottom lane that Kingzone should be able to just push in over and over again. How many times have we spoken about Mordekaisers that struggle in these matchups?
It's all in or nothing, but all in or nothing was pretty much what happened in the previous game. Swain may have a ranged auto attack, but they needed those early advantages to get going. On the Swain Alistar now, there's Shen Mordekaiser, who, if they can stand in the minion wave and build up the Mordekaiser passive, can do fabulously well. But otherwise, like you mentioned or allude to, a bit more of a struggle for the side of Kramer and Tucson.
Speaking of struggle, Khan well and truly behind. Almost half the CS that Keen's been able to put together here, and the counter pick option that Khan decided to go with, again, theoretically.
Counter pick and language around matchups like this is so tricky.
Well, I mean his decided pick into the Jace.
Just so the fans know, like when you pick something like Kled into Jace, you don't just run at them and win. In fact, you run at them and lose. There is windows, an all-in around level 6 can definitely happen. You can pull off a gimmicky level 2 all-play, but obviously unlikely, and you need level 3 to really be strong on Kled. But the reason why Keen visibly said wow in English during the pick ban is that it is, Kled against Kled, a champion who beats tanks and melee champions, against Jace, the strongest laner possible. So he needs to all in. And speaking of all-ins, there's a lot of people mid.
Yeah, there's in fact 6.
Correct.
It's just 1v1s everywhere else. We're running 1-3-1 comps at 6 minutes into the game, guys. As Gorilla looking for Tucson, that threaded volley, get value onto the Shen. That was a free half of the Shen's health bar.
Yeah, Peanut can get a free Rift Scuttle on the top side to try to give some chances to Khan with items. Again, with an all-in, with levels. Kled can get somewhere, but everything is equal. Kled does pretty poorly in this lane, so that's why we're watching it with bated breath to see if we see a huge outplay at some point by Khan.
Yep. Nice thing for Khan here, sorry, for Keen here, is the fact that the wave is now pushing towards him. He'll be able to have an opportunity to go for one of these potential solo kills if Khan has to overextend to be able to pick up farm, as Kuro doesn't find that chain, and that is when the trades go awfully for the LeBlanc.
In hindsight, we should have known that the Lulu will be going mid lane the moment that Ignite was the summon spell choice for the mid laner, because if it is going to be the Talia, you have to take barrier against LeBlanc.
Yeah, true.
Ignite, Lulu can solo kill a LeBlanc. We've seen it before. Again, I believe it was Faker in that final of the LCK. He just do surprising turnaround damage when LeBlanc gets in your face. There's nothing to block the picks when LeBlanc is in melee range using the distortion. So, a lot of options here for BDD.
You can also deny a lot of the farm from Kuro as well, because if you do get it to a health bar, like with all of the harassment that you talk about that's low, you can't distort into the back line because it's just too dangerous.
And your itemization, crucially on patch 8.11, well, on 8.11 as it reflects in the bottom left, can still be Merc Tread's Banner of Command for a lot of magic resist early in the game and a lot of punishment if LeBlanc roams around.
Well, so far, Kingzone have had the right idea as far as draft is concerned, and it's been paying off. 1,000 gold is going to be the tune of the lead as far as gold is concerned. But in games like this, especially between Afreeca and Kingzone that have shown us so many different things throughout this game, there can be so many swingy moments. In fact, in all of them, there has been seesaw effects. Even though Kingzone did manage to get their big lead at the beginning of the first game, there were certainly moments where Afreeca looked like they were fighting back.
Very interested about the timings around the banner of command for Mordekaiser and the banner of command for the Lulu. Seems like Mord is rushing the item, so we'll have it first. What that means for the first Drake, because whenever we have Mordekaiser in the game, the first Drake feels like the first Baron almost, because what it represents, the snowball that the spirit of the dragon can give the Mordekaiser.
Yep.
So control around that first Drake. Italy can definitely do a lot of damage to it, but right now the map is pretty even. Slight lead to the Lulu in the LeBlanc lane in terms of the 1v1. Right now a push in bot lane, but that changes and the first Drake goes the way of Afreeca. That'd be big news for them.
As you can see, Freaks are in a lot of trouble. Spirit's Refuge doesn't help you against the Talia poke. This Gorilla has been very, very good at making sure that he's being a nuisance. Frostfang is what he's managed to pick up, just trying to complete that quest and get things done, but see what his first item is going to be.
Scuttle counter will be all but one, I believe, to the side of Kingzone. Saw Peanut hit the last one up top. Now we'll hit the bot side Scuttle. Still no start on the Drake, but even delaying it and stopping Afreeca from picking it up is not a bad thing. What you want to avoid is Prey using all his mana and having teleport down, and that seems unlikely. There's no obvious recall timers on the side of Kingzone. As important as there's that banner of command, it did come early.
Yeah, already completed here for Kramer. Thankfully with the double relic shield, sort of helping him out. No potions could be afforded, so he made sure that he went back and bought that as soon as he could. Ward is going to be put back over the wall there from Gorilla. He's just trying to thread some volleys in here onto Tucson.
It's the only way they can get lane presence, Atlas, short of a gank, and it's Graves for the gank, with no CC lane outside of the single taunt. So, given the low percentage chance of the gank coming through, the only way he can get any sort of breathing room is this banner of command, and he wants it before the turret goes down.
Yeah. And this double melee matchup is really susceptible to seismic shove as well, especially if Gorilla can use it defensively as they're walking towards him. So I love it. The threaded volley for the poke and then the seismic shove for the defense. Often you see it offensively used from a mid lane Talia, but the Dragon will just be stolen away here from Peanut. Even an early smite because he knows that he's not under fire, and Mowgli says, dang it, we got a level 7 Mordekaiser, why the heck don't we have a pet dragon?
This bot lane duo with the Talias doing Lulu things, that's Runic Echo for you.
We have to remember that this is Peanuts in Italy who does silly things with threading needles and these spears as well.
Two-part thing. It is Runic Echo on patch 8.11 when the last change came, no longer building out a lost chapter. It's the highest gold efficiency that Runic Echo has ever had. Actually more gold efficient than Warrior, which always gave you just a huge wad of AD when you finish the recipe.
Yep.
Same is true now for all the ability power from the Runic Echo. And like you mentioned, Peanut's famous in Italy. The biggest stat for him was in the 2016 season on Rocks Tigers as a team. Never lost on Nidalee in the entirety, I should say, of his career on that team.
See whether he's going to be able to land another victory for them as well, because Kingzone desperate to try and turn around their fortunes after game number 2. Well, it's frustrating this time around as well. I mean, there were a lot of issues in the last game. We had to remake it to start things at the beginning and would have screwed up momentum just a little bit. It looks like Kingzone have turned all of that around. Mowgli now on the Rift Herald, and of course, Afreeca not out of this one in any sense of the word. They've got a 30 CS lead on their Jace on the top side. This B2D is at least going to be able to scare Mowgli away. The tower falls, however, on the bottom side. Global gold is fantastic when you do have a lane that is getting bullied around.
You just love and you can appreciate how much of this game, and draft in particular, was warped by Master Yi and Taric being up. Kingzone playing Master Yi and Taric earlier this week. The first pick of Lulu with Zoe taken away was already free, right? It's a very strong first pick. And then Afreeca instantly had the alarm bells. And they're like, all right, well, we can't draft into Master Yi Taric. We need stuff that could work in either scenario. The Graves is usually not a high-ticket item in the LCK. It was taken because it does pretty well at power farming. The Mordekaiser was something they felt they could get away with. It didn't show too much about their comp, but then it was double range. Bot lane, they got pushed out. The turnaround in the mid lane, and ganks around the mid lane and turnarounds around Raptors have been so big in this series. Goes the way of the blue side team, in this case Peanut. We hear the ultimate coming through just to get to the bot lane. But so far, the lane assignments, everything has fallen to place in the first 12 minutes for Kingzone from that draft.
What the heck? How did Prey side? Okay, that's some pretty nice reaction speed to get out of the way of the empowered shock blast that I thought was looked at there by Prey.
It's melee champions trying to push against Kled, so he can at least start to delay the take.
He's going to try his best underneath this turret here. Does now have the Tiamat available to himself as well, which is a high value on the Kled. There's the pullback as Tucson very confused
just
about where he's going.
While they get a Rift Herald, while Trinity Force Ezreal at 13 minutes is getting advantage top. This is all about buying time. They know his ult is down, but it doesn't really matter. As they're going to say, hey, here's a bit of wave clear.
It's the cannon creep.
And for once, Jace has to deal with a lane that he can't push in.
Yeah, and so much poke coming in here as well, as that's the last auto. That's going to do it. 2 turrets in quick succession, as well as the Rift Herald, as well as complete vision control, and potentially a red steal.
As well as...
See whether Peanut can actually land the long range speed. Oh, decides not to go for it. I'm incredibly upset about that. Look for the icon. The icon is still there.
We heard the as well as chain, and I think that was the right grammar, even though it was obviously bad English, because it was just so visible how many significant objectives that if either team picked up, you would remark on as a play-by-play caster, were all chained in a line, and the bot lane turret was held as well. So they found just a massive lead, 3,000 gold, and the threat of another turret from the Rift Herald picked up in one fell swoop. No mana immune yet, but I'm sure the mirror mana timing will be just fine as well, and really so much fallen into place from the draft and the nice execution in the early game by Kingzone.
Yeah, we're still looking to see what this Kled is going to offer this team as well, because Khan, of course, still behind as far as the farm is concerned, to the tune of about 32. But that doesn't seem to matter. Titanic Hydra's still on its way, and he's going to offer so much more as far as map mobility as well, which could be a huge deal, as not going to be able to get the stop on Shelly, who wants to take down her next turret. He's going to do so instantly.
3 turrets down at 14 minutes. So early, but so important against the Mordekaiser, who just wants to lane in as short lane as possible. But Mordekaiser Shen against double ranged is really, really unfortunate timing. It's no fun at all. Feels like you're playing blind pick. You're with your mate, just wanted to play some Mordekaiser Shen and got the worst possible scenario.
Yep. It feels like this is like just a slow version of one of the games that Kingzone lost against Gen G with the Mordekaiser type composition. It just feels like that air of hopelessness has come in once again.
The Drake spawns in 40 seconds and Mordekaiser's top. Already know that's a bad sign. This early in the game, getting a Drake is going to prove very, very difficult.
And the overextension now from a Mordekaiser, and Mordekaiser has always been extraordinarily gankable. So, seeing what he can do. It's a tough game for Kramer, trying his hand at the Mordekaiser. Aiming has played it the other 2 times for the Afreeca Freecs. Peanut, blue buff actually going to be picked up by himself. P2D, a little bit more supportive this time around, but he does have a lost chapter as his second item, so not going to see the Ardent Sensor come in, and I like it. Not necessarily an Ardent Sensor type team, although there is, I guess, an Ezreal, but Ezreal's never really been one of those hyper carries that you just chuck attack speed on.
Means a lot for the Nidalee to be able to provide things in multiple lanes, and Lou's going to spend most of her mana just wave clearing against the LeBlanc, or in this case, the Jace.
Speaking of wave clear, it's the second time that Prey has used that True Shot Barrage just to hold on to wave control.
Who does it remind you of, Atlas? Does it remind you of the good old Chinese 80 carry legend Wei Zhao, who was known for trimming waves with Ezreal ultimates?
I was going to say, how far back
We're
are you going to go?
Way back.
Because I'm like, you know, everyone does that with Ezreal, right? Like, I'm thinking like, Bang, I guess I've seen do it the most because he's played the most.
OG, baby.
Yeah,
We're all about the OGs
OG.
here in the LCK.
Yeah.
No one mentions him. Feels like Wei Zhao and Mad Life kind of had that superstar career before the kind of boom of Season 3, and a lot of our viewers joining post-Season 3.
Yeah, I feel like all those players, as well as, you know, Name as well over in the LPL, who never really had his moment in the sun.
Hotshot GG and his 1v2 Cho'Gath before 1v2s were a big thing.
Yep. Mowgli, he's going to get jumped on by a Kled, but thankfully Tucson is available there. Yeah, so many superstars from across the world in League of Legends now, just because the game has really started to get itself a lineage. Becoming generational as well. It feels like there are players that come in and are the old guard. Look at players like Dyrus.
The moment you can say that, it's a good sign for your esport.
Yeah.
Not many esports can talk about multiple generations, but League of Legends is slowly getting there. Already talking about it being Prey's 6th anniversary as a pro today.
Yep. Messiah, another big name from the earlier generations.
All right,
now we're going to get the zoom out.
Give us something to say. We need a kill involvement from
the Kled.
Yes. Please.
He needs to, like, show us exactly why he's picked this one. Of course, the rotation, certainly an option for the Kled. Using the charge is running away from people. Seems to work out as well.
You do worry that a lot of people in Korean solo queue are going to try to counterpick Jace with Kled tonight.
I don't know. It depends how he does. Because there's the taunt flash coming in from Tucson. He might get punished for it, but it's a brilliant wild growth to make sure that he can't do anything. True shot barrage, just the edge. Not going to be able to find the Mystic shot, but the Shen has to get the hell out of there. Khan, he's tanking up the turret. That's what the Kled's for, because he can just jump back on him again once he loses his health bar and then recharge him. Maybe that's what it is, but they're not able to grab the kill, but they're able to get the turret, and that's going to be worth more.
And Afreeca just can't do anything. They need the Jace to group because the rest of the team is behind, but they and Jace grouping and not getting any damage on the top outer turret. Getting a structure, getting a Drake just feels like a fool's errand for the side of Afreeca. Such is the disadvantage they find themselves in. Kuro has been well held by the Lulu, which is something that can happen when you flex the Lulu to the mid lane. One thinking we'd see Talia flexes with her disabled as a jungler at the moment, but the support does come out, ends up being a masterstroke. Nice job, Kingzone, and just everything's fallen into place for Kingzone DragonX in game number 3.
Yeah, the thing that I really like is also the change at the Rylai's Crystal Scepter to now be a much cheaper item. Sort of works out for the fact that you're going to have a little bit less on the side of the support Talia. Gorilla's still going to be able to build towards that as item number 2.
Could also be the Merlinomicon as a possibility.
Oh, could be. A little bit more expensive if you're going to go Leandri's Torment or something like that as well.
Target acquisition, they're a very low CC team, so I would actually think the Rylai's would be a pretty good pickup there.
Yeah.
But not forced into one or the other.
Could also be a Void Stuff. And then a stone.
What type of stone?
Red one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, Kane's been doing some damage.
Oh,
Khan,
look at that
not so
Talia
much.
damage, baby.
Oh, God.
Take that, Shen.
Take that, LeBlanc.
Shen's damage was the one taunt we saw hit, probably. And nothing else.
But it was a taunt flash. That was cool.
Flash doesn't do damage, Alice.
Yeah, no, but it got in there. And it looked cool.
That's true.
Did you hear me? I got real excited about that particular taunt flash. Oh, Muramana is done here for Prey, though. And it's on cooldown. It's confusing. I haven't seen one of those on cooldown before.
Let's not point it out. We don't want any more pauses.
My Muramana's on cooldown, please. Someone.
Well, the banners are definitely frustrating on both sides. Will be a relic of the past over at NA and EU this weekend, and for us on Tuesday next week, assuming we do get 8-12 around the same time.
Yep, I'm going to be happy to see it go, personally. I'm super psyched about it in solo queue. Killing those things and getting the last hit really bothers me.
This is so hard for the side of Kingzone. Gorilla's wave clearing, and now finally,
yeah,
LeBlanc versus Talia, baby!
There it is! He got his matchup!
Counter.
And it's way better this time. Look at the CS advantage! He's eons ahead! How many Flame Horizons is that? It's only one so far, but he's getting towards 2 as there's the flash in from Mowgli. Delivers the Shen as Khan just jumps off the Kled, and everything's gonna be okay.
Dismounted, a kill in mid, a bit of pressure bot lane. Best moment of the game by far, the all-in roll by Afreeca. All their chips onto the Rift. Might have Kuro not snap back, but then there's an Ezreal.
Yeah.
That hurt.
It's unfortunate, and maybe that was why the Kled was picked up. The fact that he just has all of the safety. He's not going to be able to save that turret on the bottom side, but they trade 1 for 1, and when it's inner for outer, you're going to feel pretty happy about that. Kingzone certainly are.
Pina has gone for a Brawl build. Solo queue, he plays around with different solo queue builds, but he always tries to thread in at least the Sheen and preferably the earliest Lich Bane possible. Athene's into Lich Bane. It was pretty common for a while there. Ardent Sensor and the Ardent Sensor meta, but now he doesn't need to build that pesky item as early anymore. Able to go into the Lich Bane for a bit of burst.
Still not sure about where the Blasting Wand and the Amp Tome are going, because Gorilla decided to finish off the Eye of the Watchers. That was what the Red Rock was doing.
I think he probably got a bad back timing in terms of gold values after getting assassinated by the LeBlanc.
So you're talking about Pawn.
No.
And not even going to be in our next match.
No. But that really just forced him to buy whatever he could and ended up being the upgraded Frostfang item. In the mid lane, we're pushing through. Kingzone still have a lot of map presence. 2 Drakes to their name, none to the Mordekaiser. Could be a 3rd one now.
Yep, they are going to move over there, making sure that they deny the Mordekaiser as many dragons as possible, and they can just feel that they have control of this game. Peanut going to happily take this one down with his new and improved Sheen proc with the Lichbane.
Lichbane Runic Echo for the positive synergy these days.
Yeah.
For the Runic Echo, it was, of course, the Sheen effect on the AP jungle item.
This was a long time ago.
It was. We've had a lot to talk about today, so some of the ground we've covered has been old school.
Severe historical references.
Swiftness boots becoming pretty common on Talia in most roles because you get out of combat and into the rock surfing so early. You have even more flat movement speed, both base and now with the Swifties. Roaming around, being a nuisance on the map.
Well, Kuro still needs to be respected here by Gorilla. DDD happy to play up here though. You can see the Kled in a side lane. The 1-3-1, the double teleport. Oh yeah! The Ezreal in a side lane. He's going to go back home. I think it's going to be Blade the Ruin King time for Prey.
Definitely the potential for all-in time from the Kled. He's hit 2 items, which is very difficult to do at the same pace as Jace in any matchup, but definitely in the Kled versus Jace matchup. Been an afterthought. They haven't been able to dunk on the Kled because they've been playing around losing lanes elsewhere. So definitely not a full piece of information about the Kled this game.
Yeah. Well, Banner of Command going to be on that cannon creep as Kingzone try and use that to get some control. Prey checking brushes with Mystic Shots, has a Whimsy Shield. Now going to control this top side very, very effectively. The cheeky ward outside the Baron Pit is going to deny, is at least going to keep vision there for the Afreeca Freecs. Kingzone certainly have control of this one.
No sweepers available though, so no ability to scout that ward.
So he does get himself a Electrocute proc onto the Kled, but that's not the target that he wants. He wants to be trying to get things like the Wild Growth out of BDD and to just explode Gorilla before he can do anything.
Need that sweeper before you start because those wards that used to be game winners are now predictable, but still frustrating to deal with.
True. While waves being cleared out, Peanut having to hop over the wall. That's just fine. Throws out a spear there just to follow up, but everything a little bit calm. Just chilling out here at 26 minutes into the game. Afreeca. It's 1-1, but we're feeling like Kingzone have this huge lead, which, you know, is to the tune of about 4,000 gold, but it's the map control. It's the 5 turrets that Kingzone have been able to put together that just means so much more against these Mordekaiser compositions.
And also, compositionally and conventional logic do apply. Mordekaiser, Jace from ahead, great. From behind, not so great. A marksman comp versus a no marksman comp. Basically everything tangible and intangible counts against Afreeca that isn't kill score and to a lesser degree gold. So it's definitely a disaster visibly for Afreeca, but effectively it is a disaster.
Yeah. And you can sort of feel it here right now as well. Kuro, his build representing it. The second item, Void Staff. Always feels bad, but he's the one that does like to build it more than other mid laners.
He's just trying to get a pick onto whoever, rather than being able to double down on single target damage on a squishy.
Yep. Primal Surge being there, the poke not going to be registering on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. However, on the other side, these spears starting to hurt, as you saw Mowgli. Not enough true grit there for the Graves.
Was stationary for too long. Kuro actually missed the chain this time. Whereas LeBlanc, one of his highest win rates, so still trying to look for a way to fish for a pick, fish for a turn into the game. But the threat onto Kingzone is minimal. We're still on 8-11, so the shield duration not short on the Lulu like it will be on 8-12. They poke, they push up. They don't fully engage the Baron because they don't have a tank, so it's risky. But their Baron damage when they do fully engage on it is sizable.
Yeah. They do have heals, I guess, as well as, you know, shields from BDD coming in. But you're right. A little bit more of a dangerous one considering their squishy nature. Ghostblade done for Keen. the F-Sword should be moving towards something like a Guardian Angel for his item number 3, which will mean that the Jace will be doing a lot of damage. A lot of poke will be landing here from the Afreeca Freecs, but can they actually turn around what has been a bit of a horror in the early stages of the game? Can they grab the next Drake, which is going to be a Cloud in a minute and a half? These are all the questions that we need answers to, because they could do the classic maneuver of take the dragon, move it to the Baron pit, and kill the Baron with it.
Speaking of classics, Baron throw is always a possibility. You do have a comp that from behind shouldn't work, but you get the right spirit. In fact, if you even just get a Ghost to make it 6v4 momentarily, things can happen. There's a lot of reasons that Mordekaiser should not be able to pull things off, and yet stranger things have certainly happened, both in our broadcast tonight and also on the Rift. So a lot of things can happen here. Can't spend the game until you've fully earned it, while Kingzone have earned themselves a lot of reasons for their fans to be prematurely very excited about this game. The close is still to be had on the Rift.
I also really want to find out what happens if Khan gets ulted by Kramer and then dies. Does he have the Skull available to him? Does he jump off the Skull? And if he auto-attacks enough, does he get back on the Ghost Skull?
I think he's actually little, but I'm not 100% clear on that interaction either. You've managed to, once again, point out something I haven't had to think about.
I've thought about it a lot, and I haven't worked it out. And there are other things, interactions with clones from Mordekaiser that are amazing, like the fact that you get Darius passive if you get a Darius clone. So good. Old Sejuani passive, like
Vicious Tendencies is a permanent buff, so theoretically if you got mounted Kled, he'd be able to do a lot of damage.
Yep. Also, old Ghost Poppy was unkillable. You got
as a resident Mordekaiser main, why are you asking me these questions? You're the one that should know.
Well, I haven't actually experienced Ghost Kled because he's not in any of my games. So I'm interested. It's more speculation rather than anything else. I wasn't expecting anyone to really know the answer to that question.
We've got 4 stopwatches on the side of Kingzone, so you'd think that the pick from LeBlanc is going to get very tricky.
Yeah. And also the fact that they're investing into it means that they are looking to try and win a fight and win the game. So there is a lot of those investments. One of those is going to be turned into a Guardian Angel of Khan's own. It's 3 items even for both of our top laners who are sitting on 0-0-0. Certainly going to be a lead for the Jace as far as farm, but that doesn't really matter because there's a global gold lead for Kingzone, which is the main situation here. And 4 dragons now picked up. Double Cloud, double Ocean. All of this poke not really going to be working out. Normally you look at this saying double Ocean Drake, oh, that's annoying. But when you want to be standing in these lanes, throwing out poke over and over again, having all of the extra mana and the extra health regen is going to be helping here. 30 minutes is going to tick over though, and it's still 1-1. The gold hasn't really moved. Like, that needle hasn't really moved.
That's why there's still hope for the side of Afreeca Freecs. Because of the cheap build on the Ezreal. Oh, Kramer's going to have flash.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's not. As the seismic shove is going to go the wrong way.
Never mind. That was Gorilla and not BDD.
Yeah. That's the difference. The seismic shoves go the other way.
Yep. That ability is tricky to use.
It is annoying to use.
See first-time Rumble players and the Equalizer.
Exactly. But if you've played Rumble before and you pick up Talia, you're like, oh, this is easy. Don't worry about it.
I've actually never played a game of Talia.
Really?
I've played a lot of games of Rumble and a lot of games of League of Legends, but never a game of Talia.
Well, I reckon you'd probably be pretty good at the old seismic shove.
For support, that's the only ability you need to hit, so maybe I should play some support Talia.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're good mates with Gorilla as well, so it would make some sense.
Oh, but other way, mate, other way.
Yeah, exactly. An homage to the old Gorilla. It's, Kramer. He's having a rough time. Blade of the Ruined King's going to slow down the Mordekaiser. Not a lot of options, but good sidestep of the seismic shove once again. And that is going to be Tucson keeping his awesome dude carry alive.
Get out of it. But that is going to be some resources drawn. Not the flash still from Kramer.
Yeah, just wandering casually gets him out of that one.
Definitely a lot healthier at this point. A Death Cap. Nice hat picked up as well.
Ooh. Normally the Leandris is item number 2.
Yeah, kind of a strange one, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a bit odd. Bit of extra damage, though, here and there, I guess. Extra healing coming in from the ultimate.
Niddly jump.
Sorry, from the W.
It's not very strong for those Baron takes. No tanks, so they're kind of laboring here, Kingzone.
They do like a bit of poke, though, underneath the turret. As now Khan, he's jumped on Kuro. This is the target that he wants, as he's doing so much work in that back line.
They don't dismount him either.
Well, this is going to mean the turret As True Shot Barrage flies forward. Is it going to hit him on the base? No, it doesn't. He didn't actually use the recall button. Kingzone get themselves their first objective for a while. That isn't a dragon.
That does a lot of work there. Completely trivializes LeBlanc from the fight. LeBlanc looking for a fight and a flank onto the fight. Was not able to find either, has to flash away, and Kingzone, they don't have any control wars, and they've been on the Rift for so long. That means the fallback Baron that I was thinking of does not happen.
Yep, Two's in trouble. Spirit's Refuge keeps him alive from praise damage. At least the auto attacks there and the Mystic Shots, so he survives, gets himself out, Hex Trinket done, as well as the Merc Treads for praise, so he's not as afraid of Kuro this time around.
Still, we labor. Kingzone slowly trying to get back into this game. Baron has proved a bridge too far, and for now just pushing up. They are inviting Afreeca to get to gold amounts. It seemed impossible with Jace and Mordekaiser. And that's kind of the worry here, is that teamfight misexecution, Baron misexecution, the game could go the way of Afreeca. Backup win condition for Kingzone is certainly the 4-stack Elder that spawns in just under 3 minutes of time.
Not to mention the fact that what we saw on screen was the Gathering Storms from both Peanut and Prey. Both of them will be able to at least get a lot of value out of those, considering the fact that we might actually see a 40-minute on this game.
A game that felt decided early. That's probably music to the ears of Afreeca, in spite of the double Gathering Storm that you allude to.
Yep. The Rylai's is done here for Gorilla as well, so he's got a little bit more utility out of his support Talia. These spears are really going to start to hurt. That is the Void Staff completed. We have also secured the Flame Horizon in the jungle for Peanut.
I don't see any flank wards. The sweepers have stopped that, so Khan is slowly pushing up, but has no ability to impact the fight. The only advanced ward is the ward they're passing over in the mid lane.
Blade of the Ruin King actually going to go off here from Prey, who lands a whole heap of poke onto Kramer. The Siege, in earnest, is going to go off here. Khan actually with a whole heap of spare time on the bottom side of the map as well, and without the Baron, this Siege is working very well for Kingzone, because that's the type of composition that they have for themselves. Remember, Siege comps did exist before 8-11. Now they are going to come back with a vengeance here. So the Nidalee helping out there as well as Khan. He's going to turn up. Oh, the pop onto Peanut, and that's Kuro asserting his dominance.
Damage calculation is off. Remember, the stopwatch is available and not used, and that's the Jungler Atlas. Maybe if we could just roll up to the Baron and say, hey, what you guys going to do?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do. I'm not sure whether they know what just happened, because that Nidalee was on the Rift for a second and then not.
All right, well, they are bottlenecking them in the mid lane. It seems like Afreeca don't feel like they can shrug off the poke and take the Baron. Issue for Afreeca is it's just a kill. It does delay, but Elder's hitting the Rift as well, and there's no way for Afreeca to defend both.
Yeah, and the trade is real bad for Afreeca as well, because they have to fight Kingzone if they are in that Baron pit. There's a lot of damage coming out here from Kingzone, so once they take the Elder Dragon as well, they'll get all of their health back so quickly with so many stacks of this Ocean Drake, and they'll be able to sprint over to the Baron Pit with their stacks of the Cloud Drake. Not bad Drakes.
Nope, and the Elder Dragon would not be bad either. Just spawned as we speak. Kingzone has spent a long time taking small advantages. They found Tucson, here are Afreeca as well.
Yep, the shield to come in on top of Khan. Lots of different colors in his health bar. He will be able to just get that harassment off and then move on, but nothing really gained on either side. Just some knowledge. Didn't see the backs coming down as well as Afreeca Freecs. They're going to get the teleports to make sure that they have numbers down here towards the Elder Drake. If the steal comes in and Mordekaiser gets some damage onto this dragon, then that is going to be a huge dragon in there, as Gorilla not going to get tagged by the chain, as the Weaver's Wall to deny entry to this dragon pit, as there's the Elder being picked up. Tucson going for a huge flank, but it doesn't matter. Mowgli just destroyed as the seismic shove doesn't land onto LeBlanc. As Kuro, some funny business as he jumps over the wall. You don't want to be chasing her though, you want to be moving potentially to the Baron pit, because they've got an Elder Drake, as well as there's no jungler on the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
They got a bit surprised. They wondered where he went. Didn't get popped. That was just, of course, a very nice evacuation maneuver there by the LeBlanc. They are, as you say, going with 4-stack Elder over to the Baron. With that much damage, they'll kill it fast.
Yep. And that was an example there with the Rift Scuttler getting pulverized by Prey's damage. Khan in here shows that there are definitely only 4 members in this Baron pit.
Mowgli is dead, so this would be a time to stop Baron. Keen pushes in mid lane. The calculation here is going to be so hard because of how fast they do it.
Yep, flash is available here from the Afreeca Freecs for the bottom side of the map. There's Khan, he's going to jump on top of Toosin. Charge, not available just yet from the Kled. In goes Keen, doesn't land the accelerated shock blast as this Baron is going down incredibly. Kuro jumping in there, trying to get some sort of steal as in goes Khan, and they manage to kill the LeBlanc as well. Oh, chaining the death time is a big problem here because Mowgli pops up and Kuro just jumps back down, and they get the Guardian Angel from Keen. Afreeca Freecs. Oh, they kept it even for so long, or they stopped falling behind for so long, but now it feels, with these big objectives going down, the Kingzone have got control of this game once and for all.
Hearts in your mouths for both teams. Peanut didn't use Smite. You wanted, would it go down, would it go down? Ends up just going down incidentally to the Talia of all people. But with a Siege Comp and Baron, so hard to get. These structures, they just explode on site.
And look at, the damage is just insane from Kingzone as Mowgli looking to pop one more time, has himself a stopwatch, but look at Khan, he's just right up close and personal. Nothing that Afreeca could do in that situation as they're just mowing down structure after structure.
Slow and steady for Kingzone after getting a big lead early. They've still got that Elder buff, they've still got that Baron looking for the end.
Yep, 1 more minute to that 40-minute proc of Gathering Storm as well. We may not actually see it as Kingzone are just taking down Nexus turrets, and it feels like the Afreeca Freecs have nothing that they can do. We've got 9 seconds of that Dragon buff still there. Wild Growth to make sure that no one is going down, and Toosin, he is. Talia does actually fall on the side of Kingzone, but there are too many dead on the Afreeca Freecs, and the Nexus is going to explode. 39 minutes and 30 seconds. As Game 3 belongs to Kingzone, and neither Papa Smithy or I are correct in our predictions.
Ends up being a 3-hour, 26-minute series because of all the technical issues. Does go the way of Kingzone. Look relieved, Atlas, as they should. It was a slow, laboring game that took them a long time to close. The moment that Nidalee turned around the gank in the mid lane, they did eventually labor, and to their credit, never actually looked like losing, which was mainly what this game was all about for them. They knew they were way ahead. They didn't want to give the Mordekaiser comp any way to steal a Drake, steal a Baron, and just keeping dotting your I's and crossing your T's was likely eventually to end the game, even if the game kind of labored for us watching on.
Yeah, and I actually really liked that we got to go back to a Siege-style composition, and Kingzone knew exactly how to play it out as well. Yes, there are problems with setting up for Barons, the fact that you don't have a lot of safety in there. A lot of our teams were doing Baron really, really quickly because of the amount of safety that you have taking that objective, given the fact that you've got a whole bunch of bruisers that either have a lot of lifesteal, a lot of shields, a lot of tankiness, and can just stand there and use Warmogs to heal back up. Not the case this time around. Took a lot more finesse, but was still played incredibly well from Kingzone, and that's the kind of reiteration of the meta that we'd expect, honestly, from the Afreeca Freecs, who have had such a read and have been able to sort of dictate where we're going here in Korea as far as meta choice.
And it's definitely a vote of confidence for the Kingzone fans because they beat Afreeca when Afreeca tried to play a marksman comp, and they did beat a bit of an offbeat comp here. I think they outdrafted in the last game purely because the Master Yi turret loomed so large that Afreeca were caught in a lot of different minds. In the end, I liked the Siege comp. It took a long time to win, but was ahead. The gold graph is definitely going to be no sort of up and down movement. It was very much in one direction towards the side of Kingzone DragonX. A lot of damage coming out from Prey. Maybe he'll win the MVP on his favorite day here, the 6th anniversary as a pro gamer. Another game from Keen on the Jace. This time the Kled of all things, the answer. It wasn't about Kled versus Jace, but the Kled does win.
Yeah, and the Kled actually did give them their first way in on the top side of the map, able to find Kuro there, and still does surprise me, but let's have a look who that MVP is going to be. It's going to be Khan on his Kled. 003 Khan grabs the MVP, and to be honest, I was umming and ahhing on who to elect for the MVP. I thought Peanut probably deserved it, but may as well give it to the Kled. Why not?
No, this is a bad choice, but they're giving it to him for picking Kled, which, you know, You need some brass balls
Or
to do that
maybe they
in some
just
metas.
maybe they just wanted to have a chat to Khan because he's a fun guy to talk to.
That's fair.
Yeah, I could understand that one as well. As Kuro still the reigning premier when it comes to the MVP points for this week.
This is the best play of the game, probably, though, taking Kuro out of a team fight in the back line. As I'm very interested to see when we see some highlights of the 0-0-3 game. Look at this. He ran him open.
Yeah, he did.
Look at this. He used his ultimate, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, that was, I mean, yeah, kill mode. Yeah, nice. Kuro, this was a cool play from him more than anything else.
And don't you remember what he did around this area?
Yeah. He ran around a LeBlanc and did nothing.
I was letting the play do its own. And remember this?
No.
Quintessential MVP stuff from Karnas. He ended the game with this super play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm waiting. Yeah. MVP stuff.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks for those eyebrow movements, Papa Smitty. I'm glad that it was only I that got to see them. But guys, we are going to get to at least talk to Khan and see whether he thinks he was deserved of the MVP as we throw it over to Joel for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation for this first series, and we're going to look at Kingzone DragonX picking off a win against a really strong opposition with Afreeca Freecs. Was ready to try to make a comeback by. Does win out in a 2-1. Going to talk to BDD and Khan for the interview. It's your first interview here. How do you want to, anything you want to say? We are really happy to beat out a very strong team, and we want to keep this run going. BDD, you were talking about your performances individually wasn't to your standard, and something feels like Khan definitely was on the other end, feeling very happy about his performance. I think third set did pretty well, and my name is Khan. What do you think you did so well on in terms of set 3, and something that you want to explain in detail? When everyone's settled up, I was always trying to hide in and trying to force something to happen. It just really allows to just kind of separate the opposition. And for that, I think that's a great distraction that I did against the other team. And Zoe was really great coming from you, and the opposition mid laner did very well on the Zoe as well. How did you feel about that trade of champions between game 1 and 2? I mean, game 2, I saw that the opposition got an MVP with the Zoe, so that made me really angry. So I'm trying to make sure that I'll never lose that champion once again. I mean, game 1 was really good for you, obviously. Competitionally, it was really well done, but let's look at some of the highlights here. I mean, it feels like you didn't even know how much damage you could do there. I was trying to just poke out, and boom, he left in. And I think Peanut was kind of surprised too, but all in all, it was just a lot of question marks as to how a champion just explodes like that. Obviously, with an experience with this happening now, I hope to make this a little more repetitive next time around. Of course, a little bit unpredictable in terms of how much you can put out the damage, and maybe the big thing that definitely that you do is that you just create unexpected things happen. I just don't really know how to put the sleeping bubbles in. Sometimes you have to just kind of guess, and you have to practice to make perfect, and that's what I've been doing so far. And Khan, a lot of questions about your Kled pick. We saw a mid Kled actually in the LPL, but in top lane, didn't think it was a real viable pick, but what made you bring it up today? It was something that we prepared for a while in solo queue, and Cube actually tried it from Genji during that solo queue, so I saw that many times and I tried to learn from that, tried to use it today. And Khan, you always say that it's not that you can't play the tank, you just decide not to use it. Well, how do you want to explain your Ornn play then? Saying that I mean, you can see it definitely. I'm definitely happy with my plays in game 2, and definitely no one should be blaming me. I feel like my understanding of the champion wasn't the biggest problem there, so definitely you're saying that the outcome of the result was not really dependent on your own, but and now you really had to overcome a bot duo of a national team in Korea over Genji, and now you're overcoming the top laner representative, and a lot of the fans are just saying, who is the best top laner in Korea? I mean, what's the best team right now in Korea? I think Genji and Griffin is right now top. I think the two top laners from those teams are deserve that recognition as the best, but there's not many games left, and whoever comes in first place in the league, I think that determines who the best top laner is going to be, so we're going to find that out. So maybe you're just a lot weaker now, maybe, compared to what you used to be, because you never really were off the top position. I mean, definitely we all got weaker a little bit, but we never know when we might strike back. Khan, you want to say something to that? I mean, we were just a little more flexible, a little more casual now. It's nothing about getting weaker. Just whenever we reach first place again, you guys will know what is up. And game 1, game 2 was really about who got the advantage in the bot lane, was kind of what transitioned into the eventual victory for respective teams. And Kingzone, you guys were dependent on Praying Gorilla to get the job done. And people were kind of having a tough time. What was the thing, especially with the meta now shifting a little bit heavily towards bot lane? And we do get that because the talented players in bot lane now are just dependent on so much on the picks of the champions, and that's what we always try to practice internally of what to go with, especially so that not just skills though, but I think our team has the best bot duo in the league. And something we were asking in Game 3, did you feel like the Lulu was swapped at the end, or was Talia supposed to go on support? And it's a big question there. I put simply put, it was a good champion, we just picked it. Okay, so a little bit of taking back on words by BDD. Now BDD, you had to have played Talia, then you would have got countered by LeBlanc, and maybe you could have said something like that, where even if it's a counter, you can still win out the game with it. If I did Talia on mid, I think I could have won, but I think it just turned out that way. Definitely not revealing the entire strats there by Kingzone. For Khan, you actually saw Jace on the opposite lane. And how'd you feel about having to face a champion that you had been so famous for? I mean, getting hit by the Jace definitely feels different. Maybe I realized the damage and the pain I've been inflicting on others when I played the Jace. Of course, so now you're knowing the pain that you have inflicted so much on others before, so much in the past. And there were multiple assets of Kingzone that is now increasing, of course, with the fans still cheering you on. Anything you want to say to these guys? I think our form is coming back up and our conditions are looking a lot better. I actually got to talk with Madlife yesterday. He told us to play well today, so here's a shout out, and we did play well today. And Prey, would you like to say anything to him? He's a 6-year anniversary. I mean, there's not really anything left to say. Maybe there's a little more love for Madlife than Prey on that occasion, but Khan, you like to say anything to say? We knew there were long pauses, were really prolonged then, but still, despite, we thank the fans for continuing to cheer for us, and we'll try to get you back with a lot more wins and a lot more victories for you guys to be joyous upon. Of course, Kingzone is looking a lot better now with the season start. Not looking that great, but now it's looking a lot better with Kingzone. Looking good with this win today. And this is Joel with the translation. I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel, and I believe that means we've got Kingzone DragonX evening things out as far as the standings are concerned with the Afreeca Freecs. After that 2-1 victory, Kingzone trying to move their way back up the standings, Papa.
The ledger has certainly been evened when it comes to score, like you mentioned. Now, let's look at it now in full Technicolor. We see the third and fourth are separated by 1 game. Afreeca have been just a bit more clean than Kingzone over the season, but that means Afreeca cannot join Gen G and Griffin. So 4 series in for these big teams. This is the result. SKT, KT need to play to catch up. Most teams are at 4 matches played. Speaking of matches played, we've got one for you right after a short break. We're, of course, behind schedule, so the break will be around 20 minutes. BBQ Olivers against KT Rolster. KT mad after losing to Kingzone in very one-sided fashion earlier this week. BBQ on Struggle Street. Will that just mean that KT run over them, or will BBQ actually be able to find KT at a vulnerable time? We get to find out.
Yeah, and are they vulnerable as well, or is it the rise of Kingzone as well? Because they were able to topple Afreeca Freecs, who are looking like one of our best teams. There are a lot of questions that will be answered, but